General Hospital spoilers tease that Sonny has long been seen as the embodiment of power and control in Port Charles. As the head of one of the most formidable criminal organizations, his influence stretched beyond the streets, into the hearts of his family, who were always his top priority. His reputation for ruthlessness in business and dedication to his loved ones painted him as a man who could weather any storm, always capable of protecting those closest to him. Yet, recent events have shaken Sonny to his core, revealing a side of him that few have seen before: vulnerability. The attacks on his family have left him questioning his own strength and his ability to protect them, throwing him into a spiral of doubt and fear that threatens not only his family's safety but also his very sense of identity. It all started with Michael, Sonny's son, who found himself at the center of a brutal explosion targeting his father. The attack, clearly aimed at Sonny, ended up leaving Michael severely injured, burned, and on the verge of death. Sonny, the man who had always been in control, could do nothing but watch as his son faced the consequences of an assault meant for him. Michael, whose life was shaped by the violent world Sonny had built, now found himself ensnared in the very dangers his father had tried to shield him from. This was a breaking point for Sonny, who had spent years believing that he could protect his family from harm. For the first time, he was confronted with the painful reality that no amount of power or influence could guarantee the safety of those he loved. Michael's suffering was a stark reminder of how fragile the world Sonny had built really was. However, Michael's near-death experience was just the beginning of the unraveling. Not long after, Charlie's bar, the establishment Sonny had gifted to his daughter Christina, was set ablaze in a vicious attack. The fire was more than just an act of destruction, it was a personal message. Christina, once the daughter Sonny thought he could protect with ease, had now become a target in the ongoing war between Sonny and his enemies. Watching her business burn to the ground, Christina was forced to confront the same fear that had haunted Michael, the realization that no one in their family was truly safe. For Sonny, this attack was a painful wake-up call. It was no longer just about defending his empire, it was about keeping his family from falling apart under the weight of external threats. And yet, once again, Sonny found himself powerless, unable to stop the violence that was invading his life. The attacks on his children struck Sonny harder than any blow from a rival. They represented not just a physical assault on his family, but a direct challenge to his power. Sonny had always believed that, as long as he could control his enemies, he could keep his loved ones safe. But as these recent events unfolded, it became clear that his control was slipping. The attacks were not just random acts of violence, they were personal, calculated, and aimed at Sonny's greatest weakness, his family. And with each new blow, Sonny was forced to confront the reality that his empire, his power, was not as unshakable as he had once thought. Sonny's power had always been his greatest asset, but it was also his greatest vulnerability. His entire life had been built on the premise that he could protect those he loved through his strength and influence. But the attacks on Michael and Christina revealed a harsh truth: power, no matter how vast, could not shield them from harm. For the first time, Sonny found himself grappling with the idea that he was not invincible. The constant threats to his family, the growing sense of insecurity that came with each attack, began to eat away at his confidence. He no longer saw himself as the untouchable mafia kingpin. Instead, he was a man haunted by his inability to protect the ones he cared about most. And just when Sonny thought things couldn't get worse, the situation escalated. Sidwell, one of Sonny's most dangerous enemies, had begun to gather information on his family. The surveillance photos of Sonny's loved ones were a stark reminder that the danger had reached new heights. Sidwell knew Sonny's weaknesses, and with this knowledge, he became an even greater threat. Sonny realized that every move he made, every plan he executed, was now at risk of being undermined by Sidwell's cunning. The stakes had never been higher. And yet Sonny felt more out of control than ever before. As the conflict with Sidwell deepened, Sonny's once unshakable confidence began to crack. He could no longer rely solely on his connections and power to protect his family. For the first time, he found himself questioning his decisions. doubting whether he could win this war without sacrificing even more of what he held dear. The attacks on his family had not just been physical, they had shaken Sonny's very foundation. His empire, once a symbol of his strength, now felt like a fragile house of cards, teetering on the edge of collapse. Sonny's mind was consumed by the fear of losing everything. He had always believed that as long as he stayed one step ahead, he could outsmart his enemies and protect his family. But now, with every new attack, that belief was being shattered. His attempts to shield his loved ones only seemed to make them more vulnerable. As his family members became increasingly involved in the violence surrounding him, Sonny began to fear for their safety in ways he never had before. The thought that he might fail them, just as he had failed Michael and Christina, was a nightmare that weighed heavily on his soul. The once untouchable mafia boss was now a man on the edge. His power, which had been the cornerstone of his identity, was slipping through his fingers. The attacks on his family were a reminder that no one, not even Sonny, was immune to the consequences of the world he had built. Every day, the situation became more chaotic and unpredictable. Sonny's world was spiraling into madness, and he couldn't seem to stop it. Desperation began to take hold of him. Sonny had always been someone who took control of every situation. Someone who could manipulate events to his advantage. But now, he was facing an enemy who was just as cunning and ruthless as he was, and he was losing ground. The fear that had once been something he could control now consumed him. He found himself unable to anticipate Sidwell's next move, unable to protect the ones he loved from the escalating violence. His sense of invulnerability had been shattered, and in its place was a raw, palpable fear that threatened to destroy him. As Sonny's empire began to crumble, so too did his sense of self. The man who had once been feared and respected was now a man haunted by his failures. The attacks on his children, the constant danger to his family, and the looming threat from Sidwell were all reminders that Sonny was no longer in control. The chaos was real, and it was only growing worse. Sonny had always been a man who thrived on power. But now, that power felt like a double-edged sword. His world was increasingly consumed by violence. And each new attack served as a grim reminder that he was losing the battle, not just against his enemies, but against the fear and doubt that had taken root in his own mind. The certainty that had once defined his every move was gone, replaced by a mounting sense of panic. Sonny was no longer the man he had once been. The events unfolding around him proved that even the most powerful men could fall, and in his case, it seemed that the fall had already begun. The changes in Sonny's life, the shifting tides of power, and the escalating danger to his family were leading him down a path he never expected to walk. As the tension continued to rise, one thing became clear. The world Sonny had built was on the verge of collapse, and he was struggling to hold on. The man who once stood at the pinnacle of power now found himself teetering on the edge. Unable to predict how much farther the chaos would spiral or whether he could regain the control that once defined him. The world of Sonny Corinthos has always been one of power, control, and the relentless pursuit of protecting his family. However, recent events have brought new, more dangerous challenges to the forefront. In the midst of growing threats, Sonny finds himself working alongside his most trusted allies, Brick, Jason, Michael, and Dante, in a desperate attempt to safeguard his loved ones from the escalating dangers around them. The stakes are higher than ever, and Sonny's position is now more precarious than it's ever been. What was once a world where Sonny could maintain control through power and influence is now unraveling at the seams, as his family is placed in greater peril with each passing moment. The tension in Port Charles has been steadily rising, with Sonny's enemies becoming more brazen in their attacks. The most recent developments have pushed Sonny to the brink. Despite the power and resources at his disposal, Sonny is struggling to protect those closest to him from an ever-growing threat. The need to protect his family has never been more urgent. And this is where his loyal team, Brick, Jason, Michael, and Dante, come into play. Each member has a crucial role in this ongoing battle to defend Sonny's legacy and keep his family safe. Brick, the tech-savvy expert, has been instrumental in providing intelligence and surveillance, tracking the movements of Sonny's enemies and gathering critical information that can help counter the attacks. Jason, ever the reliable enforcer, has been on the front lines, protecting Sonny's family from physical danger with his unmatched combat skills and tactical mind. Michael, despite his initial reluctance to be involved in the criminal world, is now fully entrenched in the fight. Standing by his father's side and doing everything he can to protect his family from the inside. Dante, as a cop, is walking a fine line between his duty to law enforcement and his loyalty to his family, but he remains a valuable asset in the fight against Sonny's enemies, offering a unique perspective from within the system. Together, this team is working tirelessly to shield Sonny's family from the growing threats that are closing in. Yet, as they work to protect their loved ones, they are faced with new challenges and shocking revelations. The most recent of these is the unsettling discovery regarding the death of Natalia. As Lucas, the town's medical examiner, is called upon to investigate her death, the mystery deepens. What was initially presumed to be a tragic accident now seems to be something far more sinister. Natalia's death appears to be connected to the ongoing conflict that Sonny and his family are embroiled in, suggesting that the dangers surrounding them are not just random acts of violence, but part of a calculated plan to bring Sonny to his knees. Lucas's investigation into Natalia's death becomes one of the most significant storylines in the unfolding drama. As he delves deeper into the circumstances surrounding her death, it becomes increasingly clear that there is more to this than meets the eye. The evidence points to foul play. And the deeper Lucas digs, the more he uncovers about the dangerous web of enemies that has been quietly closing in on Sonny and his family. The truth behind Natalia's death could very well be the key to understanding the motives of Sonny's enemies and may hold the answers to why his family has been targeted. However, with each new revelation comes greater risk. The closer Lucas gets to the truth, the more dangerous the situation becomes for everyone involved. Sonny, who once felt invincible in his ability to protect his loved ones, is now realizing that the danger is closer and more personal than he ever imagined. The attacks on his family have escalated in both scale and intensity, and the discovery of Natalia's involvement only deepens the mystery. It becomes clear that his enemies are not just targeting his criminal empire, but his very foundation, his family. As Lucas uncovers more details about Natalia's death, Sonny is forced to confront the possibility that the threats against his family are not just the work of opportunistic criminals, but part of a larger, more calculated plan to destroy him from within. This revelation marks a turning point in the story, as it signals the arrival of a new, more insidious threat. The world Sonny has built is increasingly under siege. And the threats are no longer distant or abstract, they are personal and direct. As he grapples with the knowledge that his enemies are willing to go to any lengths to bring him down, Sonny must rely on his allies more than ever. Brick, Jason, Michael, and Dante are his closest supporters, and together, they must navigate the growing dangers and try to protect the family that has always been his greatest weakness and his greatest strength. Sonny's fear for his family is palpable. And as the investigation into Natalia's death continues, the danger only grows. The deeper they dig, the more it becomes clear that Sonny's enemies are well organized, deeply rooted, and willing to exploit any vulnerability to destroy him. Every new piece of information Lucas uncovers brings Sonny closer to understanding the full extent of the threat facing his family. But it also places everyone in greater danger. The stakes have never been higher, and Sonny's power, once unquestioned, is now being tested in ways he never expected. The investigation into Natalia's death also serves as a reminder that Sonny's world, for all its violence and complexity, is not just about crime and power, it's about the people he loves. His relationships with Michael, Jason, Brick, Dante, and even his enemies, are being tested in ways he cannot control. The story is no longer just about Sonny's battle for dominance in the criminal underworld, but about his fight to protect those he holds dear. The growing sense of danger around him is a constant reminder that no one in his family is truly safe. His enemies are closing in, and the more Sonny tries to fight back, the more it seems like the walls are closing in around him. As the danger escalates and the mystery surrounding Natalia's death deepens, the tension in Port Charles reaches a fever pitch. Sonny's empire is under attack, his family is at risk, and he is faced with the realization that the power he once wielded so effortlessly may not be enough to protect them. The stakes are higher than ever, and every decision Sonny makes could be the one that either saves or destroys everything he has worked for. With Lucas uncovering more truths about Natalia's death, and the ever-present threat of his enemies growing stronger, Sonny is on the verge of facing the greatest challenge of his life. What began as a simple investigation into a tragic death is now a pivotal moment in the battle for Sonny's future. The mystery surrounding Natalia's demise could be the key to unlocking a larger conspiracy, one that could shift the balance of power in Port Charles. As Sonny and his team work to uncover the truth, they will be forced to confront not only their enemies but also the fragile nature of the world they have built. The danger is real, and it's coming from all sides. The question is, can Sonny and his family survive the storm that is rapidly approaching? Maurice Bernard, the actor who has portrayed Sonny Corinthos for decades on General Hospital, is about to celebrate a significant milestone, his birthday. However, this upcoming celebration may be tinged with a sense of bittersweetness, as rumors swirl about his potential departure from the show. For many fans of General Hospital, the idea of Bernard leaving the role that made him a household name is both shocking and unsettling. If these rumors turn out to be true, it could signal the end of an era for the beloved character of Sonny and, perhaps, for the show itself. But with this possibility comes a new and rather unexpected twist in the storyline of Sonny Corinthos, one that seems to mirror the chaos and unpredictability that has come to define both Sonny's life and the world of General Hospital. As General Hospital gears up for Bernard's potential exit, the writers have crafted a storyline that reflects the growing uncertainty around Sonny's future. 4 months. Sonny has been facing one crisis after another, each more dangerous and destabilizing than the last. But now, the ultimate test is on the horizon. Sonny is confronted with the very real possibility of death. This looming threat to his life brings a fresh layer of intensity to the already volatile world of General Hospital. As Sonny faces his most perilous challenge yet, he is forced to reckon with the fragility of life, the unpredictability of fate, and the harsh reality that even the strongest of men can be brought down. The storyline involving Sonny's impending death is not just a plot point, it represents a major shift in the narrative of General Hospital. For years, Sonny has been the indomitable force, the mafia boss who can outwit, outfight, and outlast any threat. However, as he faces a potentially fatal attack, the question becomes whether Sonny will finally meet his match. The uncertainty surrounding his survival is a direct reflection of the upheaval in his world. No longer the untouchable figure he once was, Sonny now finds himself vulnerable, facing the possibility that his time is running out. This shift in the storyline is not just a dramatic turn, it is a reflection of the changing tides in the character of Sonny Corinthos. What makes this situation even more complicated is the growing public backlash against Sonny. As Sonny grapples with the reality of his mortality, he is also facing increasing criticism from those around him. Once revered for his ability to maintain control in a chaotic world, Sonny is now being questioned for his leadership and decision-making. His ability to protect his family has been called into question, and fans and characters alike are beginning to wonder whether Sonny's time as the kingpin of Port Charles is coming to an end. The attacks on his family, particularly the dangerous situations involving his children, have cast a shadow over his once impeccable reputation. Sonny is no longer seen as the man who always has a plan. He is seen as a man who is losing control. The criticism Sonny is receiving feels like a perfect storm. The attacks on his family, combined with his own growing sense of mortality, have created a situation in which he is unable to protect those he loves most. This vulnerability is something Sonny has never had to confront before, and it is making him question not only his position within his criminal empire but also his own legacy. For a man who has always prided himself on his ability to be a protector, to be questioned in such a public and brutal way is nothing short of devastating. Maurice Bernard's rumored departure from General Hospital only serves to heighten the tension within this storyline. As the actor who has embodied the role of Sonny for so long, Bernard's potential exit could signify a major turning point for both the character and the show. If Sonny does indeed face death, whether literally or metaphorically, it would mark the end of a chapter not just for him but for the entire narrative arc of General Hospital. It would also leave fans grappling with the reality that the show they have loved for decades is about to undergo a monumental shift. This sense of uncertainty and impending change is reflected in the growing drama surrounding Sonny's life. As he faces attacks from all sides, including the dangers surrounding his family, Sonny is forced to make difficult choices that will determine whether he lives or dies, whether he can rebuild his life, and whether he can regain the respect of those who have turned against him. It is a situation that echoes the uncertainty surrounding Bernard's own future on the show. Just as Sonny is caught in the crosshairs of danger and scrutiny, Bernard too faces the unknown as he contemplates what comes next in his career. The storyline of Sonny facing death, coupled with the criticism he is receiving from all angles, creates a new, unpredictable dynamic within General Hospital. Fans who have followed Sonny's journey for years are now being asked to confront the possibility that he may not be able to survive this crisis, and that even the most powerful and respected figures can be brought down. The tension around Sonny's future reflects the turmoil in the world of General Hospital, a world where nothing is certain, where danger lurks around every corner, and where even the strongest of men can fall. In the end, whether Sonny survives the latest attack or not, one thing is clear: his world is changing. And with Maurice Bernard's potential departure, the show itself is poised to enter a new phase, one that will undoubtedly change the landscape of General Hospital forever. As Sonny grapples with his mortality and the criticism that has mounted against him, he is forced to confront the truth: the power he once wielded so effortlessly may no longer be enough to save him. And for fans of the show, this may be the most shocking twist yet, one that proves how even the most established characters can be upended in the unpredictable world of soap operas.